Interesting devices, futuristic gadgets, and cutting-edge auto innovations that dominated the tech extravaganza this year. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Vielleicht nur als Impostant.
Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Ghadi Francis coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon. And this is WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from the most volatile region in the world. Finally, and after 2 years of vacuum in the presidential office, Lebanon has a new president. Former army chief Joseph Aoun is now the president of the country. Meanwhile, Israel is still striking Lebanon and still violating the ceasefire agreement. On the other side, in Lebanon's neighbor, Syria, Israel is accused of stealing water resources. We get you all the latest from this volatile region. Iran is gearing up and preparing for any potential strikes on its nuclear sites. And it is preparing for a large Navy drill. In the next report, we get you the latest on how Iran is preparing to confront Israel and its allies.
On 7th January, Iran conducted its first military drill near its nuclear site. But this is not the only military drill that Iranian forces are conducting in the country. One of the most powerful bodies in Iran, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, will stage several war games in coming months. IRGC Navy is prepared to conduct drills in the Persian Gulf from January 18th to 23rd. 300 combat vessels are also part of this exercise. On January 27th, Iran will conduct its largest naval parade with the participation of over 2,000 military vessels. Over 100,000 paramilitary forces called Basij will also take part in the exercise. The Islamic Republic has warned that until now Israel has only witnessed a small portion of Iran's unlimited power. Iran says it is gearing up for its True Promise 3 operation against Israel and its allies. Iran has accused Israel several times of targeting its facility. Located around 300 kilometers south of Tehran in the province of Isfahan, Natanz is the main center for uranium enrichment. The facility is housed in underground bunkers to protect it from airstrikes. The IRGC Air Force is preparing to target multiple threats near Iran's nuclear sites. The timing of Iran's military exercise is no coincidence. As tensions with Israel reach a boiling point, Tehran's move to bolster its air defense capabilities seems to be a direct response to the past attacks by Israel. The Islamic Republic aims to reassure both domestic and international observers that it can still defend its nuclear infrastructure.
As this aspect is one of the most decisive aspects of our defensive power, we have been focusing on it. And it was necessary to test the capabilities of our air defense in a situation close to reality.
Iran also put its air defense weaponry on display in the southern province of Isfahan.
It was necessary that we test our air defense system abilities maneuver once more in a field close to the real field.
Israel has long accused Iran of attempting to develop nuclear weapons, a claim that Iran always denied. Although Iran has constantly stated that it does not possess enough uranium to develop an atomic bomb, Tehran says its uranium enrichment efforts are aimed at providing civilian electricity. As per latest reports, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan presented the outgoing President Joe Biden with options for a potential U.S. strike on Iran's nuclear facilities in case Tehran moved towards developing a nuclear weapon before Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th. Iran's foreign ministry rubbished the reports, saying threats against the country's nuclear facilities were a gross violation of international law. The International Atomic Energy Agency says Iran is rapidly advancing its atomic program, enriching uranium up to 60%, just 30% below the grade needed for atomic weapons. Tensions over Iran's nuclear program soared during Trump's first term in office, when the US withdrew from a landmark nuclear deal that offered Tehran sanctions relief in return for curbs on its nuclear ambitions. As Trump takes a seat in the Oval Office for a second time, the pressing question is, will the US lift its sanctions on Iran, or will the Trump office tighten restrictions on the Islamic Republic?
Time and again, the US President Joe Biden has affirmed America's ironclad commitment to Israel. In his final act, the outgoing president informed the American Congress of a new weapons package for Israel. Now, in the next report, we tell you what kinds of weapons has the US provided, and would Israel anytime soon stop the war in Gaza? Tell you more.
Amid the constant Israeli bombardment in Gaza, the outgoing Biden administration is telling the US Congress it has concluded an $8 billion arms sale to Israel. The US aid package will reportedly include 500-pound warheads, precision-guided munitions, artillery shells, missiles for jets, bomb fuses and air-to-air missiles to intercept projectiles. Ever since Hamas launched its attack on Tel Aviv in 2023, the outgoing US President Joe Biden has never failed to mention that the US support for Israel is ironclad. United States has been one of Israel's constant suppliers of weapons and aid. Even before the war in Gaza spiraled, Stockholm Research Institute says US constituted 69% of Israel's arms import. In August, Washington approved the sale of $20 billion in fighter jets, army vehicles and explosive cartridges to Israel. In November, the Biden administration approved a $680 million arms package to Israel, including small diameter bombs and precision guidance kits. The Biden administration only briefly paused a bomb shipment to Israel. This was when weary global leaders objected to Israel's ground offensive on one of Gaza's most populated cities of Rafah. However, the US president faced an immediate backlash from the Republicans. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu even called it an arms embargo. In April, the US offered Israel a generous $14.1 billion worth of emergency aid. US says it is not only helping its ally, Israel, combat terrorism in West Asia, it is also working on a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Despite Washington's efforts, negotiators have failed to enforce a deal. Since November 2023, both Israel and Hamas have failed to agree on a truce deal that will also facilitate a prisoner and hostage exchange. US top diplomat says the hostage deal is close.
We're very close to a ceasefire and hostage agreement. We've talked about this too in recent days. I hope that we can get it over the line in the time that we have left. But if we don't, then the plan that President Biden put forward for a ceasefire hostage deal will be handed over to the incoming administration.
One of the leading negotiators facilitating the truce, Qatar says technical meetings are taking place in Doha.
The efforts are ongoing. The technical meetings are still happening between both sides. There are no principal meetings taking place at the moment.
Mediators are positive that a deal is close, but the question is when. Back in Israel, families of the hostages want answers from Benjamin Netanyahu as they wait for their loved ones to return from Hamas captivity. Biden administration is working to close the deal before Donald Trump's inauguration on the 20th of January. Even though Donald Trump has positioned himself as a staunch supporter of Israel, the US president-elect has told Israel to finish the military operations in Gaza that have so far killed over 46,000 Palestinians.
And now let's talk about the country I'm currently standing in. Lebanon, as you can see, is celebrating in all shapes and forms with posters, flags, and even parties across the country. Because after 2 years of political vacuum in the top position, the presidency, now the Lebanese people have a new president. Joseph Aoun, the former chief of the army, has taken oath as Lebanon's new president. Now, America, Saudi Arabia, and Hezbollah supported that. How did the three parties agree? We tell you more in this report.
Celebrations erupted on the streets of Lebanon. After 2 years of vacuum in the president's office, Joseph Aoun has been elected as the 14th president.
We are proud of the President General Joseph Aoun. May God keep him safe for us. May God prolong his life and may God grant him success. He preserved the country for 7-8 years, 10 years from problems and great chaos. He was able to stabilize the country.
Members of the Lebanese army rolled out red carpet at the Baghdad Palace to greet the new president. The presidency, reserved for Maronite Christian in Lebanon's sectarian power-sharing system, has been vacant since Mikhail Aoun's term ended in October 2022. Until now, Lebanon's deeply divided factions were unable to agree on a candidate who was able to win enough votes in the 228-seat parliament. Joseph Aoun fell short of the 86 votes needed in a first round, but crossed the threshold with 99 votes in the second round, after lawmakers from Hezbollah and its Shiite ally, the Amal movement, backed him.
Foreign pressures may have helped Joseph Aoun because it is impossible for this political class to elect him without external pressure and without promise of great support.
Aoun is the fifth army chief to be elected as the president of Lebanon. Aoun now faces the task of overseeing a fragile ceasefire in southern Lebanon, where multiple violations of the truce agreement are already taking place. He also faces the task of naming a prime minister who is capable of implementing the reforms demanded by international creditors in return for desperately needed bailout. While taking oath as a president, Joseph Aoun already promised that Lebanon is entering a new phase of its history in 2025. He has also said that the state will have a monopoly over all arms located in Lebanon.
My pledge is to exercise my role as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and Chairman of the Supreme Defense Council, that I work through them to ensure that the right to carry arms is exclusive to the state.
Reports suggest Aoun, with no relation to former president, was widely seen as the preferred candidate of the United States and Saudi Arabia, whose assistance Lebanon will need as it seeks to rebuild. Reports say Hezbollah previously backed another candidate, Suleiman Franji, the leader of the small Christian party in northern Lebanon with close ties to former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. However, Frangi announced he had withdrawn from the race and endorsed Aoun, clearing the way for the army chief. Hezbollah reportedly backed Aoun as U.S. and Gulf mediators agreed to help reconstruct southern Lebanon. However, Hezbollah has not given any official statement to verify this information. U.S. President Joe Biden has expressed faith in the newly elected Lebanese president.
I think there's what's going on right now in Lebanon, and we finally have a president. He's a first-rate guy. I spent time on the phone with him today, about 20 minutes to half an hour, what they have planned. They're also working very hard with the Lebanese military, accountable to the Lebanese people, not Hamas, not Hezbollah, not any other group.
2025 marks the sixth year of Lebanon's financial crisis that decimated the country's currency and wiped out the savings of many Lebanese. The country's leaders reached a preliminary agreement with the IMF for a bailout package in 2022, but have made limited progress on reforms required to clinch the deal.
And now to the larger neighbor of Lebanon, Syria. It has been a month since the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government in Syria. Although the country is now open, airports, museums, and markets, Syrians are still cautious about the future without a constitution or a path for an upcoming election. We tell you more in this report.
The Syrian scene is still vague. The constitution has not been written yet, and there are violations against Syrian components, especially minorities in Syria.
1 month since the fall of the Assad regime, celebrations in Syria are tinged with concern for the future. As the war-torn country turns a new page in its history, the new Syrian regime is opening the nation's diplomatic channels. For the first time in 13 years, a Qatar Airways plane landed at Damascus airport as Syria resumed international flight operations. Syria's National Museum reopened after years of closure. The Assad government had evacuated the museum's collection back in 2011, when the civil war spread across in the country. Years after the war, some antiques are back on display. Civilians gathered in Mount Cassion that overlooks the Syrian capital, a site they only remember visiting years ago.
This is my first time visiting Cassion with my friends, and it was an amazing experience. Imagine the joy children get when they visit a place that has been in their memory for 13 years. I'm just happy to remember some details. This is just a part of what Syrians were missing.
The highway in Damascus saw street vendors selling fuel, a daunting task during Assad's regime.
It's completely different. You used to dream of getting into a gas station with a motorbike.
On the global stage, world leaders are considering lifting sanctions on Syria. France says the European Union will swiftly lift sanctions that obstruct humanitarian aid and hinder the country's recovery. United States also exempted transactions from sanctions for Syria for 6 months, after decades of isolation. Syria was only welcomed back in the Arab fold 2 years ago. The new regime is trying to mend ties with the Gulf. This month, Syria's new foreign minister Assad Hassan al-Shiban visited UAE, Jordan and Qatar. While these remain a few positive signs for the future, the absence of a constitution and a clear political path, combined with the crackdown on pro-Assad loyalists, make sectarian Syrian groups skeptical about the possible democratic government.
Now let's go to Saudi Arabia. The kingdom is witnessing one of the world's largest motorsport events. The Dakar Rally is going to kick off in the kingdom. We tell you more in this report. That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news and ground reports from the world's most volatile region. I am Radi Francis signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir.
not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing. This week on Inside South Asia, warning of new airstrikes by Pakistan and a fresh round of threats from the Taliban. Where are Pakistan and Afghanistan headed? And we tell you all about a Chinese-sponsored railway network in Bangladesh. India's Prayagraj gears up to welcome 400 million devotees to the Mahakumbh, the world's largest religious gathering. All this and much more on Inside South Asia.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at WION.com.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
Vielleicht nur als 5%.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh. And on the show today, we'll be taking a look at the incumbent Venezuelan president. Nicolas Maduro is all set to take oath for a third time. But the controversy about his electoral victory simply refuses to die down. In the United States of America, Donald Trump, who'll take charge of the White House in just a few days from now, is being sentenced for his conviction in the hush money scandal. What does this mean for his presidency?